Hello, everybody, and welcome to the P.G.M Show. I hope everyone out there in the YouTube lands, internet lands, are having a great day. Excuse me. Okay. Just as I wait on confirmation as to I'm having a rough time of it, getting my head wrapped around my stupid brain. Things have gone wrong again for me, and I hope really we can get them on track. And what am I saying? What am I saying about that? Is the fact that I again may have stuffed up. This is me all over. Is a complete stuff up when it comes to dates, times, days, weeks, months, years on getting anyone to come onto the show. That is my fault, not anyone else's. I take full responsibility. Okay, this is a comedy show of Pete's 2023 stuff up. Let's just see if anybody's going to pop in, say hello to me on chat. If not, that's quite all right. And I hope everybody is doing well, and I really, So, what's on the menu tonight? Well, if I can get myself sorted out, it really could have been for me really good, in the fact that I do repeat myself quite a lot. As to my first ever toy guest. Dare I say it? I don't really want to say it. I really don't want to say it. I mean, I completely and utterly stuffed this up. So, hey, how you doing, Andrew? Again, thank you very much for having me on your show. So as you see, I am sitting on my own, and I am kind of filling in a filler, as to say. So this is really a comedy situation here, as to that, and I'm probably looking like an embarrassed old codger who can't get things right. Let's all laugh at the stupidity. Now, if I can get confirmation of, and I'm talking probably in confused terms. So that's what I'm doing, Andrew. Buying time, as to say the word. Okay. So, how you going, Andrew? So I hope everything's okay with you. That was a really good stream, by the way. Really good stream. Okay, let's do something here. Excuse me, everybody. Okay, well, I'm here to keep you company until things like me speak a little bit more clearly in English. So, uh, uh, yeah, so what's been happening out there? Well, what's been happening here is I don't really talk politics on the show, but our Prime Minister has stepped down and she's been going for 5 years. 5 years. Yeah, take that, UK. um, Welcome, bro. You're always welcome on the stream. Thank you very much, Andrew. You're awesome. Okay, and so that's yes. Again, a horrible joke on the UK Prime Minister's expense. I should have a laugh track with it. But this is going to be really interesting tonight. I'm really looking forward to this. As again, yes, I'm gonna do and repeat myself so many times as I do this filler that I have no sense of one direction and no sense of time zones and no sense of my own time zone, excuse me, in my own country. So, in saying that, this is probably going to be me a warm-up act. And that's basically going to be until my special guest gets here from for my 2023 start, and I can really have fun doing that. Okay, so anyway, yes, things in life are so confusing. Things in the whole entire time zones is just crazy, isn't it? I mean, just crazy. It's bonkers crazy. I mean, I haven't got one of these. I'm numbslexic. Numbers lexic. That's what it is. I'm numbslexic. Probably not making any sense whatsoever right now because that's me. So if you're catching this on the replay, you're probably going to say, Pete, what the hell are you talking about and going on about? Well, I'm off the cuff. This is unscripted, and I'm probably talking through the hole of my ass, as per usual. Anyway, so it's good to be back and doing the toy interviews and the toy interviews. Not exactly toy, not actually interviewing toys of a plastic nature. That'll be just silly, wouldn't it? No, and I'm just being silly. No, talking to the toy collectors around the world. And if this is going to be a crazy start for this, if this is the start of my 2023 beginning, I'm hoping it will continue. I could probably rename it instead of the P.G.M Show, Pete's Complete Stuff Up. But I probably will keep it as as the P.G.M Show, and you can see that I'm doing an stuttery Hugh Grant, Bob Newhart kind of feel as I introduce again. I'm doing a lot of filling in as I go. Okay, so it's good. It was good to see and have Andrew there, Ultimate Wolf. If you haven't subscribed, go and subscribe to Andrew, the Ultimate Wolf. And I had a really good. It was a really good stream. It was really fun. Having Lack there, Sabrak, and Sin, who's an artist. And it was good. It's really fun. I'm hoping to do that again. Lack and Andrew, fun guys, and it's just good. It kind of was another warm up for me, really. Doing a show like that and being invited, and it's just it's not really a warm-up act, but it's a warm-up act in a sense of it was fun warming up and acting like a stupid little fool. Okay, no, just kidding. I'm not a stupid little fool. I'm just inept. Okay, so where are we now? So we are now, well, what's today? Today is Thursday. Well, and everywhere else, it is Wednesday. How boring as a subject is that? Okay. Hey, Mr. B. Hey, good morning, Peter. Well, it's good evening here, so is it good morning over there, Mr. B? Okay, well, you're in for a treat, Mr. B. You're in for a treat. This is my first Toy Collector interview of 2023. So thank you for joining me, myself, and and the special guest. I will hopefully get him on. Yes. I can only hang for a spell work day. Okay, that is fine. You can catch this on the replay. That's right, because that's what can't catch it on the live, catch it on the replay. It'll probably be a little bit more funny and nonsensical as to me. I'm being nonsensical and probably insane. And so you'll probably have catchphrases like "What the hell are you talking about, Pete?" and such. Okay, right, here we go, everyone. Let's just introduce this. Excuse me. Let's just introduce this guy. Okay. And let's get on with it. Joey, let's get on with it. I should have some theme music in this 2023. I'll make sure of that. Okay. This man, I'm reading off a small little script. This guy hails from New South Wales, a retro toy collector, and he has, and he's, sorry, see, I'm getting it really mixed up here, and he's my first guest of 2023. So let's get him on. Say hello to Mr. Scott Crusher.
Hi, mate.
What?
The crowd goes wild.
So, I'm trying something new. So
I like it.
Okay.
How are you?
First off, thank you for coming to the P.G.M Show. For my next, I'm going to keep on repeating myself. This is brilliant. Reiterate. That's my whole genre for 2023. But yes, a little bit of stuff up. That was my fault. The time zones just slay me so much. My little brain we can't handle. So
that's quite all right, mate.
um,
Can you hear me all right?
I can. Yes, I can.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Pete, I got to admit today I just checked the time for you earlier today and saw that you're 2 hours ahead, but it didn't really dawn on me that you promoted it as 10:30 NZ 9:30 Oz, or I would have just flagged that with you earlier. So mate, I'm sorry if I didn't flag that earlier when I noticed that there was a 2 hour difference, but I'm here now, mate. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, I stuff up all the time, Scott.
That's quite all right.
I mean, time zones, time zones, and me just do not mix very well. I'm sure I will be getting a cane very shortly and wobbling like an old man. So
it is all
right.
good. Mr. B, g'day. How you going?
Yeah. So
hope you're doing well.
Yeah, here's what I'll do. I will interview Scott, and I'll dip in and out of the chat. But this is I usually do this off the cuff, Scott. So I have a couple of questions, but then it's just a good conversation, and see where it leads to. Okay. I mean, I'm not this organized as a Christian person like Stu is for his show, Toy Universal guy. But see where it goes. I mean, everyone knows that you're a retro toy collector, right? So my first question is why?
Well, mate, that's a good question. I suppose there's two parts in how I answer that, and the first part is how important this stuff was to me as a kid. I was the kind of kid that always had the full on imagination, and action figures were just a big part of that. You know what I mean? You watch one of your favorite movies, as I did. Like let's say I watched the 1990 TMNT live action movie, and then you finish with that, and the fun's over, and you need to play it out because obviously in the 80s and 90s, we didn't have the fully immersive open world video games now that if you want to explore something, there's digital means to do that. From our generation, like when we were kids, you'd watch a movie or you'd watch a 30-minute cartoon spot, or in my case, you'd watch the wrestling and it'd be over and you'd have to go and entertain yourself. So action figures were a big part of my childhood. I was the kind of kid that could not be sent to my room as punishment because that was like what I wanted to do. You know what I mean? Is just go to my room and read a Goosebumps book or play with my action figures or whatever the case may be. So the two parts of it are why am I into it now is because of the impact that it had on my childhood, which formed me as a person now, as a near 40-year-old. And the other part of it is, I suppose, how did I reconnect with that? Because, and Pete, I'm sorry if I'm banging on, mate, because I can talk, but the difference between someone like me and for instance, obviously the keep on collecting guys that I'm such great mates with, Matt and Andrew, is those guys have been collecting for a long, long time, and they really didn't have the same sort of break from collecting that I did. I mean, I stopped playing with action figures when I was 12 or 13 years old because I thought I'm a bit old for that now. And I really didn't rediscover this. I didn't have what you see behind me until maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I think late 2018, I started again. So I had a big, big break from it. And how they came back into my life was I was actually cleaning. I was moving house and I was going through all your stuff as you do. And I found a shoebox full of my childhood Ninja Turtles. And I thought, gosh, how cool is that? And I had a sticker on it that said garage sale $10, that my mum would have tried to offload them at one of the garage sales over the years. And I'm thankful that no one picked them up then. And it was just kind of that shot of dopamine of some of my prized possessions as a kid, finding them again. And Pete, what happened was, mate, I'm ashamed of myself in saying this, but the thought first occurred to me, like, I've heard that there's a market for these now. Maybe I see what they're going for on eBay. And that kind of led me to discover the fact that, wow, there's a big collector market for people that are my age that are trying to reconnect with that stuff. I couldn't bring myself to sell those particular turtles. So I saw on Facebook that there was a vintage toy fair coming up in just a couple of weeks. And I went and started buying a few things with the intention of maybe I can get some weapons for my turtles and also maybe find a few things to sell on eBay and make a few bucks and have a good time while I'm at it. But what happened was, Pete, the more stuff I bought, the fewer I could sell. I couldn't part with it. You know what I mean? And I ended up buying a $300 or $400 lot of these wrestling figures up here, which were hugely important to me as a kid, with the intention again of splitting them up and selling them. And I'm a little bit ashamed to think that that was my intention. Like, I'm a bit ashamed now to think that that's what my plan was. But by the time I had these things in my hand and I was tidying them up, I couldn't part with them. You know what I mean? And I just decided, well, I guess this is something I'm going to pursue now. So that's really it, mate. Two parts to the puzzle is how important this stuff was to me as a kid, and then kind of rediscovering that a few years ago, finding the childhood survivors, buying a lot of wrestling figures with the intention to part them out and sell them, and not being able to part with them in the end, and then. About a year after that, I moved into this apartment. I've been here for about 3 years now. One thing that drew me to this apartment was that it had a spare room. So, and I was off and running. So, that's the origin story.
What fascinates me with you? You said you're in the 40s, right?
I'm 38 now. I'll be 39 in a couple of months. So 40 is around the corner.
Okay, around 38 to 40s, right? Okay. What fascinates me is that why these retro toys? Why this genre of retro toys? Why did you get into that aspect and not the newer stuff?
Like the modern collectibles that are out now. I mean, look, the stuff that Andrew, what's going on, buddy? Thank you for dropping in. I think Andrew's working, but he's saying good day.
Andrew, sorry, I haven't got my other tablet going, so
that is all good. I mean, look, I just started collecting the stuff that I've got that emotional connection with. You know what I mean? The turtles, the wrestling, the Ghostbusters. That's the stuff that was important to me as a kid. It's funny, like unlike Andrew and Matt and I believe Ryan as well, and most other people who are in this same space, this same toy collecting space, I've literally never picked up a modern release. I've not picked. I've thought about it. I've been kind of, that piqued my interest, like the NECA and Super 7 Ninja Turtle stuff, and I mean all sorts of stuff. Then you got retro re-releases like what Hasbro's doing with the real Ghostbusters, and obviously the Playmates Turtles being re-released. I don't know, like I love the fact that the things that I collect now and I treat with like respect and stuff. I kind of like the fact that they weren't designed by toy makers to like separate adult collectors with disposable income from their money and put them on a shelf and admire them. They were designed, manufactured, marketed, and released to bring kids joy. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's why I've gone down the retro toys perspective. But I have to really think about that, like, because it's not like it's like a rational thing. Like, it's more of an emotional connection with the stuff from the 80s and 90s. Some of these toys, I look at them like I look at them like, toy art, with the sculpting and the paint and so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, the designers just made them made them and packaged them up with a cartoon series and a video game, and that to bring kids joy. And it's that thing that I'm about more so than this is the latest super articulated deluxe scaled up, with all the interchangeable hands and all the interchangeable heads, and released as like an adult collector's piece. I rather collect the stuff that was designed to bring kids joy. And when, I have figures that aren't in perfect condition, they got paint rubs, they got scratches, and that's just evidence of the good times kids had with them in the 80s and 90s. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of how that's kind of how it sits with me. Not to say that I would never ever go down the road of modern collectibles, but I certainly don't. I certainly don't feel myself going in that direction. I feel myself doubling down on the vintage stuff from the 80s and 90s.
Okay, Scott, I just purchased 10 original Star Wars figures and a land speeder for 150. Okay.
I mean, like that's probably I'm probably the wrong person to ask, Mr. B. I'm not much of a Star Wars guy. Like the fact that you've got figures with accessories, weapons, capes, complete. You know, the fact that you got complete figures, I would say for 10 figures in a vehicle that's a great price. Just comparing it to the lines that I collect. But Andrew and Ryan in the chat would probably be able to give you a better answer than me. And it would probably depend on which figures you've got there, whether it's any of those last 17 figures or any of the more desirable, harder to come by figures. I would think, not being a Star Wars guy, just thinking about vintage toys, I would think that would be a cracker of a pickup. But those guys who know Star Wars better than me.
And saying that, do you find yourself collecting, let's say, the more obscure toys?
Yeah, like so my collecting kind of goes in like a bit of a lateral direction. Like you know, this year, like, well, I say that. So in 2022, I started collecting a bunch more different lines. I started collecting Kenner Superpowers. I started, they're not obscure, or, Superpowers are, have a big collector's following, but, getting more into things like Skeleton Warriors. What else? Going down more the road of Mighty Max. But yeah, I mean, I do like obscure stuff. Like in 2022, I picked up Mattel's Attack of the Killer Tomatoes figures. I picked up Playmates Barnyard Commandos. I picked up a bunch of weird stuff, and I like that as well. So
yeah, I saw that, picking up one from a glass case, and then you had to put it back on the glass case. But
and then on the second day, I came back and got it. Yeah.
Okay, so you picked it up. Okay.
Yeah, I did. And Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, that's another one, Ryan. Ryan's just reminding me. I'm having a mental blank when I'm on the spot. But yeah, so Cadillacs and Dinosaurs I started this year. So, I mean, like those lines, like those wacky, obscure stuff, like that's never as important to me as trying to complete, those first 5 waves of TMNT figures or the Hasbro wrestling figures, like the things that were like a staple of my childhood. Cadillacs and Dinosaurs are never going to be as important to me as Hasbro WWF wrestling figures or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But it's nice to have like a little representation, because I'm very much about like late 80s to like the thing with me, Pete, is I've got a pretty narrow range. I collect a ton of different lines, but it's pretty much all from like 86, 87 to like 94, 95. So I like to have a bit of a wide representation of a lot of different stuff that was coming out at that time. You know what I mean? Which is the time of my childhood.
Tell me, let's elaborate on that. Tell me about your childhood.
Mate, I had a pretty, I had a pretty friggin' awesome childhood. Like, my parents aren't together now, but they were right throughout that period of my childhood. And it was just awesome. We lived in suburbia. One thing that I find a little bit unusual nowadays, and I don't have kids, so I don't know to what extent that's changed, but we all knew the neighbors. I mean, and look, I'm sure when you look back on your own childhood with the hindsight of 30 years, you probably romanticize it a bit and think it was better than it was. I mean, that's how our brains work. But, we knew the neighbors. I played outside a lot. I had a mum that let me jump on the bike, pedal down to the shops, go to the video store, rent a video, stick a couple of $2 coins in a Street Fighter machine, and come back and pick up some things, pick up some milk and bread for her on the way back, so I could have autonomy to go and do what I want around the neighborhood because I lived in a nice spot. And like I said, mate, big imagination, lots of time spent in my bedroom. Lots of time spent playing with action figures and writing and drawing and reading those Goosebumps books, but also lots of time outdoors as well. I was a pretty sporty kid. So yeah, I mean, it was just a great time, mate. And, when you're a kid, not only do you have nothing to really worry about, provided your home situation is favorable, but you don't even think about a time when you will have stuff to worry about. And as a result, you take it for granted, really, because no adult has the hindsight to say, I'm really going to draw the life and enjoy and savor these years because they're not going to last forever. As a kid, you just want to get older. And as much as I enjoyed my childhood, I was also very much like that, Pete. I was a little bit young for my grade at school. So I was always wanting to be older and wanting to be an extra year older so I could get my learner's permit, and then wanting to be able to do this. And but it was all good, mate. I mean, it was a pretty special time. Birthdays were great, Christmases were great, and I think that's why I've got the connection to this stuff, because it's physical artifacts, it's tangible things that take you back to that time. You know what I mean? So
did you fall out of love of collecting when you got older? Did it change at all? Or did you just go through adulthood?
As a kid, I didn't really think of it as collecting. You know what I mean? Like, you've got a collector's mindset now. I've got a collector's mindset now. I get annoyed at the accessories that I don't have. I obsess over what, I'm pretty patient with my collecting, Pete. Like, I don't spend up to get things quickly. I like to try and wait for things and find, and if it's a reasonable price, I'll jump on it. eBay is great, but I do now that obviously the pandemic's in the review, and toy fairs. There's always a toy fair in the next 2 months here for me in Sydney. Luckily enough, we probably got 6 solid toy fairs each year, spaced out over the year. Plus, you got Canberra just 3 hours away. It's got an annual toy fair and a great vintage store there. Plus, you got Melbourne, which I was lucky enough to go to with Matt and Andrew. So there's always opportunities every month or so to go to a good toy fair or a vintage store. And so when it comes, so I'm going off on a tangent here, but I'm a patient collector, but I still do obsess over the details of collecting. Whereas as a kid, I didn't really think of it like collecting. I was into turtles for as long as I was, and then I was into wrestling, and then I was into whatever I was in after that. And I was never the kind of kid that got action figures bought for him when it wasn't birthday or Christmas. Maybe if my parents went away and left me with a sitter for a few days, then they'd come home with something, with something for me. And likewise with my brother. But it wasn't like I was just getting stuff. I mean, like if I went shopping with my mum and I was good and I behaved myself, then maybe she'd rent a wrestling VHS tape for a $2 weekly for me. But it wasn't like I got good marks and she'd just come home with like the Technodrome or something like that. It didn't. So I really kind of waited around for birthdays and Christmas, and as a result, I would be into something for a few years and then move on to something else. So I never had like huge collections of Turtles figures or wrestling figures, because I'd get them a couple times a year, and after a couple of years, I'd be moving on to something else. So I didn't really have like a collector's mindset as a kid of, oh, these are all the ones I need. And I just, enjoyed what I had, and imagination took over. Like the live stream that I did with Matt on Monday night, we were talking about like some of those awesome larger toys that came out in the 80s and 90s, like the Castle Grayskulls and the Snake Mountains and the, Real Ghostbusters Firehouse and the TMNT Technodrome. And I never had anything like that as a kid. So, I just kind of like tossed a blanket on the living room floor, and that created the natural terrain that I needed to just make the rest up in my imagination. So, yeah, like, I mean, and I think your question was like, did I stop collecting or whatever? Because it wasn't really about collecting for me. It was just about just having toys to play with that sparked the imagination. But yeah, I mean, because I was young for my year, by the time I was 12, I was in high school. I was in year 7 already. And at that point in time, there's, the couple of years above you have seemed like they're an eternity older than you. And it's like, so by the time I was 12, I was like, I can't be doing this action figure thing anymore. You know what I mean? I can't be. And by that point, like in 1996, when I was 12, the PlayStation came out, and it all felt like playtime felt a little bit more adult. You know what I mean? Than blowing the dust out of a Nintendo cartridge and playing with the wrestling figures and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
I had a little bit of a different road when I was collecting, because I was collecting when I was a kid. But
yeah,
I collected shot glasses, beer glasses, and nightclubs and pubs. That's
okay. So I most definitely graduated onto those as well.
So my collecting life was non-existent at that time.
Fair enough.
So anyway, enough about me. It's not about me, everybody.
Oh, mate, it's not all about me either. I want this to go both ways,
I just want to say hello to Mark, Blue Harvest Toys, just popped in. everybody. Hello. Ryan, of course, I did actually mention you. I'm not really ignoring you, but I will get to your comments nonetheless. I'm just actually saying, I'm just talking to the lovely Scott Crusher, who has, and you've reached, this should be probably a question for a little bit of the end, but you don't care about this, of course, but you reached a bit of a milestone.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
I don't think I would say that I don't care about it, because that kind of sounds like I'm not grateful for it. But like, I definitely, appreciate people.
That's what I meant. That's what I
Yeah,
meant.
yeah.
Don't,
I
don't blame me.
no. Because
Kidding.
I'll be the first to say I don't care.
Wait,
Yeah.
hang on, wait. So
Yeah.
it's just,
No. I mean, yeah. I say, like, I'll say I don't care, but that kind of, when I think about saying that, it's like, oh no, it like I'm not, whatever. But I'm definitely grateful for it. But the way I kind of approach it, Pete, is like, if it's a means to an end of like an arbitrary number, then I'm not going to have fun doing the videos, which means I'm going to bail. So I just try and
it's
have
fun, isn't
fun
it?
with it.
It's
Yeah,
fun.
100%. Like, this isn't work. This is the fun stuff. I come home from work and want to do this, want to give, want to,
Yeah.
rather than sitting on the couch, which I also enjoy. But you can't always be doing that. So I want to kind of put my creativity into something that is completely removed from what I do for a job, and can just have some fun with it. So yeah, but like, it does mean a ton to have hit that milestone. I mean, it meant more to get that video that Matt and yourself and other people contributed towards. That meant a lot more than the number, but it's still pretty special. So yeah.
I mean, you have a great relationship with Andrew and Matt now.
For sure.
I mean, how tell us about, everybody knows, but I kind of don't know. How did you meet KOC? Or
Well,
Andrew, let's say.
so I
Tell us
met
that.
them. I met them in 2021, which, I mean, it's not that long ago, but it kind of feels like a while ago now. But yeah, I basically, obviously 2020 we didn't have any toy fairs, and then I want to say like maybe May of 2021 we got the first one, or maybe a bit earlier than that, maybe Feb of 2021 we got the first one, and I went there for the first time filming a video that wasn't in sitting here talking to the camera. Like, Peter, I know you've done some like toy hunting videos and stuff, and it's definitely like a jarring thing to be like out and about. It's like it's a bit of a weird thing. So I had a crack at that, and I put together a video, around toy hunting at Collecticon. And then after I'd posted it, I'm like, you know what? I wonder if anyone else went to that show and posted a video. And I just searched, Collecticon Penrith in YouTube, and I found Keep On Collecting's video doing the same thing. And I commented to say, hey guys, like, it's awesome to, come across someone else in my greater area that's doing this same thing. And we just started chatting, in the comments, and the next show, or maybe two shows after that, so sometime in probably the second half of 2021, I got a tap on the shoulder when I was at that particular Collecticon, and it was Matt and Andrew that spotted me. And funnily enough, I don't think I was the first person that they tapped on the shoulder and asked, "Oh, you Scott?" I think that had a couple of, "Oh no, you're not who I'm looking for." It made, like, I had no prior contact to them before, YouTube or anything like that. Like pretty much all of my friends in the toy collecting space. Like, I literally, Pete, didn't, like, none of my friends outside of this community collect toys. The people, like my social circle, they know that I'm into it. They, sometimes they bust my balls in like a friendly way, like how you kind of like give your mates some friendly jabs or whatever. But none of them really would like ask questions like, "What have you picked up lately?" And that's really what you want, regardless of what you're passionate about. If you're passionate about movies, or if you're passionate about golf, or if you're passionate about collecting toys, you kind of do want some other people to be able to have that shared passion with. So that was really one of the catalysts for me to start doing videos and meeting Matt and Andrew through that, just through commenting on a video and and subscribing to one another, and then keeping an eye out for one another at the next show each time until we found one another. That's kind of like exactly what I wanted when I started in the first place. So
these guys are real good friends and strong influences, would you say?
Oh, 100%, without a doubt. Like, because I started collecting without having any other friends that did it. I was just kind of going my own way with it. And, you know, when you start collecting, you want to have everything. And it's sometimes cool to have, I mean, it's always cool to have friends that have been there, done that. Like Andrew's been collecting for more than 30 years. I'd say Matt's probably been collecting almost that same, you know, at least 20 years. So, you know, they've seen it all as far as collecting goes. They've seen prices go berserk. They've probably, you know, had space issues and navigated all that and had to make tough decisions about which direction your collecting goes. So, yeah. You stalked me until you found me, which I'm glad you did. So thank you. So, yeah, no, it's awesome.
Okay, so we've been through your growing up and your adulthood and collecting and stuff like that. So, your influences. What are your major influences when you watch cartoons for the figures that you buy?
I mean, like, so as in, like, what was the stuff I grew up on for the most part? Like,
for the most part,
yeah,
and still watching. Let's say as well. So.
It's hard to say. Like, I mean, it's really hard to say. Like, the things that were important to me as a kid were, you know, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles animated series, and then you know what? Like, because, yeah, as a kid, I was really into turtles, obviously. I collect turtles. They're one of my big things. I love the animated series. It was 4 p.m. after school, you know, growing up. So it was that after school 30 minutes, every day, every weekday. And then, you know, the live action films came out in 1990 and 1991, and they were super important to me. But with that said, like, none of the turtles, you know, I'm not hugely into, like, modern day the property in the modern day, like stuff that's, you know, the films and the animated stuff that's been released, you know, closer to now. And that might be the reason why I don't collect a lot of modern stuff, because it's not like my connection with these properties, whether it was wrestling or whether it was the TMNT, is very much, you know, anchored to that period. It's exactly the same with pro wrestling. Like, I was really into the World Wrestling Federation long before it was World Wrestling Entertainment. So 1992 was when I discovered it, but the only means of actually watching it was VHS tapes, because we didn't have any form of subscription TV, and there was nothing on free-to-air television, at least that I was able to find using the TV guide. So the only way I watched that was going to the video store, going back through time to rent all the old videos, and then following it until the mid to second half of the 90s, and then again becoming a teenager and kind of being like, oh, this is a little bit too much of a soap opera for me now. And likewise, like today's wrestling, I don't watch any of it. I keep a passing interest in it. I'll read some headlines on some certain websites, but so yeah, the things that I was into as a kid, I'm not necessarily into nowadays. And I think that's probably just another reason why the items that I collect that relate to those properties are the items that we had back then, not what we're getting today. Do you know what I mean?
What's your research like on these toys? Because that's what fascinates me as well. I mean, how do you do your research?
I actually really love researching these lines and you know, understanding the history and understanding the checklists in detail and the character bios and all that sort of stuff. And I pretty much just do that online. I haven't bit the bullet and got any of those like larger coffee table books that are coming out more and more now. For, you know, there's a book called Rad Plastic that a friend has that goes into a lot of the you know, the concept creation and the development of the Ninja Turtles line. And likewise, like Pixel Dan has his Masters of the Universe book. I know there's a bunch of different Star Wars books. I haven't really gone down that road. For me, it's pretty much all online, mate. Online checklists and you know, Wikipedia checklists and all that sort of stuff. But it's something that I do enjoy. I like going down the rabbit hole of understanding the waves that came out each year and the unreleased waves that we didn't get because the last wave didn't sell as much as the manufacturer expected, so they never got the final wave. But what would have that looked like? All that sort of stuff is fascinating to me. So I do like that. I do like that aspect of it. You can't, like, we don't have the me anyway. I don't have the means to always be buying stuff every day, but I can always be researching and watching YouTube videos. I mean, YouTube videos are great. Mark from Blue Harvest Toys does his histories, which I really enjoy. So it's really going down the rabbit hole on YouTube and just going down these little research paths online and stuff like that is what I like to do. That's how I do it.
I mean, it was so great, you and Matt getting together and just saying that here's what I'm looking forward to in 2023.
Yeah.
I mean, and actually, I could actually elaborate. What are you looking for in 2020?
Well, it's interesting. Like, I definitely, so in 2022, I am almost certain that I actually bought less than I bought in 2023. But in 2022, I definitely bought less than I did in 2021 in the prior year. But I bought more pieces that I've got on display now than from what I bought. Like what am I talking about, Pete? 2021 was like a lot of volume, a lot of a lot of a mixed bag.
I missed that. Sorry, I missed that. Sorry, there was a delayed laugh joke. Sorry. If this is not working, chat, this is not working.
I guess what I'm saying is, as I start to run out of space, I'm buying less in terms of volume, but more in terms of like key pieces that I must like that I got to display and stuff like that. So for 2023, I want to keep going down that road. Like, I want to be very deliberate about the stuff that I'm buying. I don't want to wander around a toy fair and be like, "Yep, that seems like a good deal. I'll just get it all," because I don't like to buy stuff to go in tubs. And I'm also not real good at selling stuff because I've got stuff in my collection that are doubles that I've got that I bought that I like you see a bulk lot at a good price, and let's say there's 10 items and 4 of them you don't have, but 6 of them you do. It's like, okay, well, I'll get that lot and I'll move the 6 on, but it just ends up going in tubs or because I never get around to moving it along. So in 2023, to go back to the question that you're asking, I just want to try and be more deliberate in what I'm picking up. So if we want to go into specifics, like I'm trying to complete the first 5 waves of TMNT figures. After that, like when you start to get into the mid and late 90s, it's not really for me. I can really see the point at which I moved on. But yeah, those first 5 waves I'm trying to complete. The first 3 waves I'm pretty well there. So it's really just 91 and 92 that I'm trying to hunt down, and that's when the figures start getting expensive, and they're figures that came out with like 7 and 8 accessories, and it's just trying to track those down it can be painful, but I suppose it's the collector's sickness. It's what we do, and likewise with the other major lines like the Hasbro wrestling figures, I'm trying to get all of those. So just chipping away at the key lines and trying not to go too far beyond that. You know what I mean? Just because of space, and I'd rather like use the money towards like some of those bigger hitter pieces than just like have tubs full of stuff and not feel like I'm actually making progress on what I'm trying to collect. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's the finance thing, isn't it? When we're younger, as maybe young adults buying toys, right? It didn't cost anything, and now even the retro toys are getting more expensive. Is that troubling you? Is that troubling
the vintage, you? Like vintage stuff?
Like vintage stuff, and
yeah. I mean, it's definitely getting more expensive, and I remember having our last collector's pack live stream like just before Christmas. I was like, I said to the guys, I'm starting to see a few things on eBay sell cheaper than I thought they would. Maybe the prices are coming off, because we get on here to talk the fun stuff, not to talk about the cost of living stuff. I don't want to go there with it, but obviously cost of living is going up. I'm noticing that. So I thought maybe we're going to start to see some prices come off. But again, I've been watching a lot of eBay auctions to start the year, and things are still going up and up and up. So yeah, it's definitely a challenge. Like if the vintage toy market fell off and you know had this kind of correction and brought it back to like pre-pandemic pricing levels, I personally wouldn't be upset by that. I wouldn't have the mindset that, oh no, all these things that I've bought are now worthless. I would be like, you beauty. Now I can get some pieces that I haven't been able to get before. So yeah, I'm not like attached to the monetary value of these things. I just want to be able to hunt them down. But then again, if they were worth nothing and I could go out tomorrow and finish my collection, well, that wouldn't bring me any joy either. So you know what I mean? Like you need something to slow you down because you don't want to get to the finish line anyway, because it's a process. It's not about where you finish up with the collection. So yeah, it's trying to balance all these things.
Here's a bit of a tricky question for you, maybe. I don't know. What's the hardest retro toy that you've wanted to track down?
I mean, for me, it's like it's one of two things. It's like the really expensive, really rare Turtles figures. You know, like you've got Scratch the Cat and Hotspot. That you know, you can pay like $2,500 for like a loose figure with no weapons, and then you want to try and get his 4 or 5 weapons, and it just becomes astronomical. But again, like I don't have in my mind like, oh, my collection's not going to be complete until I have them. I'm quite happy to have everything except them, the stuff that I can find reasonably.
Did you have that mentality? Did you have that mentality, what you're talking about now, and that question? Did you have that mentality when you were a kid? Because some kids used to have that mentality that, you know, I wish I had that. I wish I want to get that or get them all.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure I did have that mentality. Like I'm pretty sure that yeah, I don't know, because the kind of comparison I make is that, and I was talking about this on Monday's stream with Matt, is, you know, one of my favorite items that I picked up in 2022 was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles pizza thrower.
Right.
And big part of that was the fact that it was a birthday present from Matt and Andrew, so that obviously gave it an extra kind of sentimental importance to me. But like that, to me as a kid collecting turtles when I was like 6 or 7 years old, like that was the big thing that I wanted, even though at that point in time, now that I look back as a collector and I see what was coming out at that time, you had the Technodrome and the sewer playset, like these big items. Yet what I remember wanting as a kid was the pizza thrower. It was like a mid-sized vehicle. It was probably a $19.95 or $14.95. It wasn't by any means like one of the big, you know, but that was what I wanted. And I don't know if it was because part of me knew that I'd never get the Technodrome because it was too expensive or what, but I think I had pretty reasonable expectations as a kid. I don't think I was like, I need everything. You need to get it all for me now. I'm going to throw myself on the floor in the toy aisle. Like I'm sure I did that once or twice.
I did that.
Yeah, I'm sure I did that. Like if my mum or my dad were watching, they might be like, "You are full of shit, Scott." Like that was your go-to move. Maybe, I don't know.
Sorry, I had to do that.
Is that laughter or applause?
Call it laughter.
Okay, because I thought it was like the crowd's going wild when you brought me in with that.
Hang on, I might have got the wrong one. No, that's laughter. That's applause.
Okay, no, that's applause.
You got the wrong one. Sorry.
And it goes back to what I was saying before about as a kid, me being content with like the blanket on the floor to be the play set, and then having my action figures, and I remember like having action figures from different lines working together and stuff like that. So again, like it was all, I didn't need a lot. I was happy just to let the imagination fill the gaps. I didn't demand all the toys. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's. Would you say it's a different reaction now, not throwing yourself on the floor?
No, yeah, exactly. Now I just figure out what I can go without in life to get to be able to. No, but
because I still throw myself on the floor, and I'm 51, so it's
but I think like I almost think like maybe it makes the collection now more special because, like if you look at my turtles collection, you've got like a little row of things that I had as a kid, and all the rest is things that I would have loved as a kid but never got. So do you know what I mean? It's like, it's and it's funny. Like that's kind of how I talking to other collectors. I think that's how a lot of us start. First, we want to reassemble the childhood collection. Then we want to go after the stuff that we would have really loved as a kid, but we weren't lucky enough to get. And then from there, all bets are off. Yeah, exactly. Internal tantrums at a toy fair because I don't agree with someone's price.
What's this? Yeah, it's certainly our kind of. Mind you, we're sometimes we're adults, but we can be children at the same time.
Oh, of course we can. Of course.
Our mentality changes.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
As collectors.
Yeah.
I mean, you must feel that way as well. You still want it, but you've got to force yourself back because of the finances.
Yeah, but again, like I think that I'm a pretty patient collector. There's other things like I mean the collecting is always there. I never would go. I mean, I probably would never go like 48 hours without having a look on eBay or having a look on some of the Facebook groups. So my mind is always on what's there, what's available to me. Like the hunt never stops, but at the same time, space is limited. And I'm enjoying collecting so much that I don't want it to be over. Like I don't want to hit the finish line on some of these things. So I'm pretty patient in how I go about it. And, in the first couple of years that I was, and again, like I've only been collecting for like 4 years now. So, I'm young in the game compared to a lot of the other people in this community, not just Matt and Andrew, who I chat to every day, but a lot of the other YouTubers, a lot of the other people in the guys in the UK, like Mark and people that have been collecting for decades and have like been doing this for a long, long time. I've been doing it for a relatively short period of time, but when in the first couple of years, I thought that, oh shit, if I don't get this now, I'm never going to see it again. But most things come around again if you're patient. You know what I mean? Of course, we've all got regrets of things that we should have picked up and we didn't. But I mean, a lot of the stuff that I'm into, because the thing with me, Pete, is I'm not the kind of, and maybe this will happen one day, but you've got collectors that go down the road of they want every variant. They want, they might want production samples or prototypes and all like go into like at a really niche level. Whereas I've never been like that. You know what I mean? So I'm happy with just relatively accessible stuff. Hey, Linda.
Good to see you, Linda. And hi, everyone. Good to see you, Linda. Yes.
Yeah, so that's Andrew in the chat saying I can't go 48 hours without buying a fig. I'm curious if that's like legitimate. Like, is that a little bit of an exaggeration, or would Andrew literally buy a figure every second day or more? Because I'm definitely not doing that.
I should have asked him that when I was interviewing him.
But see, but with like Andrew collects a lot of really cool vintage lines, but Andrew also collects like modern stuff. Still collects the Jurassic World stuff. So if you've got vintage and you've also got stuff that's currently in toy aisles to look at, like you're casting in it a bit wider than I am. So, yeah, but
I mean, to get back to what you said in that answer, that it's pretty impressive you've only been collecting for 4 years.
Yeah.
How did you do it?
I might be lying to you. Like it might be, I think I started collecting in like the second half of 2018. So, we're now into the start of 2023, but still not 5 years, less than 5 years. So, yeah, I mean, like when the collecting bug hits you, it can happen really quickly. I don't think that I've really gone that hard out of the gates buying everything. I mean, I did a little bit at the start, but Yeah, I mean, it's. I think I think how I've done it is I just happen to, the period that I collect from, the era that I grew up in. When I first started playing with action figures, when I first picked up not just blocks and like when I kind of started picking up and posing an action figure, I was probably, I don't know, maybe like what, 4 years old. So that's 1988. Maybe 3 years old. That's 1987. Like maybe I think I was playing with like my cousin's Motu figures, and I kind of put down the wrestling figures in like 95 or 96. I was 11 or 12. Like that late 80s to mid 90s. So much cool stuff was coming out, and I'm not necessarily saying that that was a better period than the early to mid 80s or even the 70s. Like, but all I'm saying is like the period that I was playing with toys for, so much cool stuff was on shelves. I mean, it was certainly a high water mark for toys. You had the Ninja Turtles, you had all those other lines that tried to capture that lightning in a bottle with Street Sharks and Biker Mice from Mars and Samurai Pizza Cats and Power Rangers and Captain Planet. There was so much cool stuff that I think that's why I've gone in the direction I have, is I'm just discovering all these things, even stuff that I didn't have as a kid that I realize now is super cool. So yeah.
Luke is on board. Luke, hey boys.
Hey Luke.
Working, I don't buy weekly, but Scott, I look every day. I have to blow my monthly budget in a day to as to. Yes, the budget. Yes, I've got to agree with that, because I've probably blown my budget several times in collecting more expensive toys than probably you and the retro crowd does. I mean, that can be quite detrimental, really, can't it, Scott?
I'm very similar. I'm similar to Luke though. Like I'll be looking every day. Whether it's on eBay, whether it's on the Facebook groups, whether it's even ducking into a Salvos or a Vinnie's, like an op shop or thrift store that we have here. I'm looking every day. I'm not even buying every week. I'm probably some weeks I'll make 3 purchases and then for the rest of the month I won't buy anything. But I'm always looking. So I think I'm probably similar to Luke in that respect.
I'm probably going to elaborate on this question. Is the distribution all that tricky for you guys doing retro? Or I know you said to me that you go to a lot of toy conventions, so that wouldn't be a problem, would it?
I mean, like there's between the toy fairs, like between the Collecticons every other month and the smaller toy fairs that we've got here in Sydney, which I'm really grateful for. Like we've got Collecticons 5 or 6 times a year, which is big, like 2 or 3 halls full of hundreds of tables. And then you've got the smaller ones. There's one in Hurstville here that's like a scout hall with maybe like 20 tables. So, but still really, fun to have a little wander. So between those, like, you've got something to go look at once a month in that regard. But with that said, there's tons of vintage toys on eBay and in Facebook groups. The challenge is, I think there's a lot of people. There's the fact that there's a collector's market for vintage toys, like that secret's out. So now anyone that uncovers stuff from their childhood that wants to move it along, it's old, then it must be worth a bit. And that's not necessarily always the case. It's not worth nothing, but if it's in rough shape and it's got paint scuffs and it's got no accessories with it, chances are it's worth nothing like what people think it is. So that aspect of it becomes difficult, trying to sift through that. But no, I mean, there's plenty of vintage toys out there. So this stuff was mass produced after all in the 80s and 90s. So the stuff that I collect is not impossibly difficult to find, especially if you're patient like I am.
Do you feel without the accessories, like the accessories not there or they lost, do you worry about that or not worry about that? That's just
I mean, yeah, it's interesting. There's definitely some exceptions. Like I've got some Dick Tracy figures down here that don't have accessories yet. I've put them on display, but they're kind of down the bottom. Like if most of the figures that I've got on display, like I don't know if you can see the Crash Test dummies here or the Terminator 2 and the Robin Hood figures. Like, if something's on display in my collection, I like it to have at least a weapon in each hand if it came with one. If it didn't come with one, well, that's fine. But I get a bit hung up on accessories. Like, I want a figure complete. Even these ridiculous Turtles or Toxic Crusaders figures that only have 2 hands, yet they came with like 6 weapons, and it's a bit silly. I'm 6, so I still want to have all of them, with that figure on display. So I do get a bit hung up on accessories. I'm sure some are like me, but I'm sure some are just happy to have the figure, and if they've got a figure, they'll put it on display, and if they eventually get a weapon, they'll stick it in its hand. But I like to have things that are on display. I like to have at least 1 or 2 weapons with at least semi-complete, if they came with accessories.
I've heard collectors not worry about accessories.
Okay, I mean, as kids, as kids, I didn't really, my accessories must have got lost so quickly as a kid, especially collecting lines like Playmates Toys lines that came with a ton of them. I'm sure they got lost super quickly. But now as a collector, I get really hung up on weapons. That's the mindset for sure. Which makes it all the more special when you get a good find at the right price. Like, last year I got my hands on a childhood Mighty Max collection, and when I got everything, it had the packaging, the card backs with it, and it even had like a purchase receipt with it. And I had to message the dude on eBay and be like, "Are you a collector? What's going on?" And he's like, "No, these were like my childhood stuff." And like, I love when that happens, when someone's not really overthought it, they just want to move it along, and they're happy that it's in a collector's hands, that it's on display and it's being appreciated. So yeah, these are just look. With all this said, Pete, these are just my opinions. Like, there's no right or wrong way to collect, in my opinion.
This is why I get you guys on here, Scott, and it's a good conversation.
Oh, for sure. But you know what? I love chatting with other collectors that do things very differently. Like, one of Matt Andrew, my good friends here in Sydney, a bloke named Dean, who again we met through this YouTube thing. And I went and saw his collection room last year, and he's very much like, oh no, I'm just happy to have, like, I want all the Turtles figures. Like, as long as I have all the figures, I'm happy, and the accessories are just kind of a bonus. As and when I see them, I'll pick them up. But I really just want the figures. And I'm kind of different. Like, I would rather have half of them, but the ones that I have all be complete. You know what I mean? But that's the thing. Like, there's no right or wrong way to do it. You just collect however it makes you happy, and as long as you're doing it that way, then I love it. I
mean, there's so many catchphrases out there for YouTube channels going, collect what you like.
Yeah, but it's true. It's true. I mean, like, I'm not. Oh, sorry, Pete, you go.
Greg Cook's got a fantastic one, and it's just gone out of my head. That's fantastic, there, Pete. Yeah. Toys refresh your soul.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, but like the old cliche, like, you don't stop playing because you get old. You get old because you stop playing. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I like to look at it. My inner child is pretty much got the keys to the castle here, so I just have fun with it.
Here's Luke again with a big.
Bought a Centurion, had no arms or accessories, fixed him up, completed him, and sent pictures to the seller, and he was happy to see it restored in a good home. Yeah, that's awesome. Like, and so would I if that was me on the other side of the coin. If I was parting with my childhood stuff, and it's like, oh, I don't want to see it go in landfill, so let me see if I can sell it, and someone wants to put it in their collection, and that's awesome.
So, your makeup in this whole community, right, of your whole life has been retro collection, right? So
yeah.
And I'm hunting for a question. I always get like this when I hunt for a question.
Oh, that's all right.
I'm just my head's just revolving around. You've got you're 38 to 40 years old, and and you're collecting these old retro toys. It just fascinates me. It just fascinates me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting. Most people, I honestly feel like in this kind of collecting space, like this 80s 90s space, I feel like most people that collect from that era also collect some modern, deluxe, super articulated, upscaled, and with all the bells and whistles. Like, I feel like I'm when I look at the people that I kind of connect with most in this, like Matt Andrew and Ryan the Collector Kid and Luke from Reynolds Reviews and Shabby and like these guys and Phil in Japan, Phil at Treasures for Trigger, and like these guys all pretty much all collect a little bit of modern as well as the vintage. It might be G.I. Joe Classifieds, or it might be Star Wars Black Series, or it might be Motu Origins, some sort of modern line. I don't feel myself drawn to that because, again, like we discussed, Pete, like obviously space is limited and the budget's limited. So I just want to try and really put it into what is going to bring me the most joy. And there's definitely times where I'm like, you know what, I might jump on this Motu Origins thing, or I might start collecting these NECA Turtles figures. But part of me thinks like I watch other videos of guys that are collecting with them, and I kind of just want to I want to join in, and we're definitely all easily influenced as collectors, because all you need is for someone else to make a video about something and shine a light on it, and you get to experience it through their perspective, and you're like, you know what, maybe I need a bit of that as well. But I also think that can quickly become like a bit of a, keeping up with the Joneses type thing, where it's like, you know what, now I need that, and I'm pretty good at I'm pretty good at allowing myself to just enjoy it from other people's perspectives until that itch goes on for so long that it's like, you know what, no, I really do need to scratch this. And that's kind of what's happened with other stuff, like the Skeleton Warriors line and the Kenner Superpowers, where I saw Matt and Andrew collecting those. And then I went and visited their collection rooms and I saw them up close. And then I've seen videos where those guys have spoken about it, and I've seen other guys talking about it. And I'm like, you know what? No, I need to go down this. I need to start collecting these. But again, it's all vintage. It's not really modern, because again, like something about the fact that even though these things have beautiful sculpting, they've been designed with amazing creativity, they've got beautiful paint, their accessories are creative, these characters have been developed in a really interesting way. The fact that they were still designed, packaged, and marketed with cartoons for kids to bring kids joy, like that's part of the magic to me. That's what I think why I keep sticking with the vintage stuff rather than dragging myself into some of this modern stuff that really have been designed to separate collectors from their money based on the nostalgia that we have and the fact that we buy one, we need more. So it's interesting. But again, if that's what makes another collector happy, well, then that's awesome. So, but for whatever reason, that hasn't really connected with me. Oh man. Oh, Luke, I don't know whether to apologize or say thank you, but listen, I hope you're enjoying your Firehouse as much as I enjoy mine, because when I walk into my collection room, it's pretty much like demands my attention. I really love mine. So, and again, like I bought mine because I got to see Andrew's up close. Andrew's got a pair of them, displayed in different directions. So one shows the exterior and one shows the interior, and I'm like, I need one of them. I don't have space for both, but I need one. So we definitely influence one another. But again, like there is, Pete, there is a lot of stuff that I'm happy to be able to I'm happy to be able to watch Shabby collect and open up all the Motu Origins and show them off up close and with the girls and have fun with that and be like, that's really cool. Like I'm following along the collecting journey with someone else on something that is awesome, but it's not necessarily for me. So I can leave it at that. I don't have to then go and buy them as well. So,
I mean, your reviews, when you post the bloopers or the frustrations, I should say, on putting accessories on or doing that. I mean, that really is funny. That's got to be.
Yeah, I mean,
my joyous things on your show when you just do that a little bit. I mean, that's the fun. So
I mean,
it's
for the first year or whatever, or maybe even more, like there's a lot of them that I cut out because again, like when you start making videos and you're obviously a bit self-conscious and you're trying to work out like how it is that you best do this. I was trying to cut out all that stuff and I was trying to like nail it, make sure I look like I nailed it on the first go. And it's like, and then it got to a point last year where I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to include this stuff and see what the reaction was. And the reaction like to that has been positive. So now I'm just like, that's the gold that I need to keep in there. You know what I mean?
I mean,
So,
that is that shows, it shows a bit of a genuineness.
yeah, I hope so.
It shows you're having fun with it, but even being so serious and getting it right.
Yeah, I know.
mm,
And I lose the plot. Like I swear, and I carry on in my bloopers because I'm trying to make it look good. I don't want to do this. You know what I mean? But again, like I can laugh at myself as well. So yeah, look, I'm glad you enjoyed the Bazooka.
I mean, I do that too. I mean, I have to turn off the camera because I
Yeah,
can't get a bloody weapon in a flippin' enamel hand.
yeah,
So I have to turn off the camera, and it takes me so much time just to get a piddly bloody weapon in a hand.
I know.
So then I come
I
out,
know.
and it's like it's I don't do really good reviews, right? Because everybody's reviewed the action figures anyway before.
Yeah.
So I just do it very badly.
Well, but everyone
It's fun.
approaches it from a different perspective. I mean, because that's the thing. The fact that I only collect stuff that's like 30 years old or more or longer, it's like everything that I want to review has already been reviewed for the most part, with some exceptions. So, but I just, I'm happy to just put my own spin on it. So I don't, yeah. So if I didn't want to review something that's already been reviewed, I'd be out of luck because my stuff's so old. So the stuff that I collect is so old. But yeah, the bloopers are fun. I wish that I started including them earlier because again, like in my early videos, I was all over the place. But you want to try and make it look polished and you want to look like you know what you're doing. But really, like there's plenty of really polished professional YouTubers out there. So
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, I when I was doing the thing video
Yeah.
review, I left a bit of what seemed to be pretty important. I left that out, and I was just bugger. I just bugger it. I left something really important out of this, but I had a bit of a good response, which I was quite happy with.
Oh, there you go.
And I was a little bit gutted, and you tend to get gutted doing these videos. Do you feel that way as well? Getting when it doesn't
like
disappointed
with myself afterwards or something?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, for sure. Like, yeah, when I'm editing something, like if I'm editing a video, I'm always like, oh man, I probably could have done a bit better there, or like, it's kind of a fine line because I never used to make any notes or anything before I filmed a video, before I recorded a video. And then I would always have that feeling that you described, Pete, where I'm like, I didn't say any of this that in my head when I was setting up the camera, like I planned to. So, yeah.
I mean, Mark's got that.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to be a professional. And that's in a sense, I agree with that.
But with that said, Mark, you are pretty slick. I mean, the way Mark's videos, the way Mark's delivery and everything, it's I mean, it's pretty good.
You are a bit of a professional, Mark, because you're doing a history channel. You're doing a history channel, so that makes that kind of says that you have to get it right to actually get the history right. So that's what I'm saying. But on the other hand, I don't think you have to be a professional in doing a toy review and knowing all about it. You can, and you do. I mean, I've seen you know all these things that I don't, and that's. I think the question here is that it's a learning process, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing is like, but we're talking like in my case, I'm talking about kids' toys. Like I one thing that I try to balance is I want to treat, like, I want to look at these things, you know, from the perspective of the sculpt and the design and the paint apps and all that kind of cool stuff that, you know, where I kind of look at it as art. But at the same time, at the end of the day, we can't get too weighted and heavy in it because it's a toy. So there's got to be some light. There's got to be some. It can't be too heavy. You know what I mean? So.
Is it Andrew? Is it Andrew on, right? Peter sent an Instagram photo of Scott to show. I don't know how to do that.
No, but can you pick it up on your phone and show us, or because I'm assuming this might be a photo he's taken in my collection room.
Okay. Yep.
But yeah, Luke, I'm the same. I film on my phone, and just, you know, stick it on my computer and pull a bit of add some music and you know, edit it a little bit, and off we go. So I'm the same. But yeah, Mark, you're 100% right, mate. It's on YouTube. We're here to have some fun. So it definitely, I agree with you that it's not serious. You know, you got to have fun with it. If I wasn't having fun with it, I wouldn't still be doing it a couple of years later. And Mark, you've been doing it a lot longer, so you know, you obviously have fun with it.
Hope you guys can see that, and I'll just take Luke down. So,
oh, there it is. Yep. So when I got my firehouse, I didn't have the sign. Ryan brought the sign, sourced a sign for me in WA. So that was me putting the last piece into the firehouse. So,
seeing the ring light there, everybody. That's my ring light. That's hang on.
Hey.
Sorry, I had to do it. It's terrible. Ken laughter and Ken.
Luke edits on his phone.
I edit on my phone.
I have no idea how you edit on your phone.
Yeah, I edit on my phone, and I edit on this as well.
What do you use? What do you use on your phone?
I'll show you. I can actually. This is the editing software. Can you see that?
Yeah. What's it called?
It's called UCut Video Editor.
Okay.
Can you see that app with it? Oh, I just did that. Can you see the scissors?
Oh yeah,
Probably
yeah. I can. The orange
scissors. Yeah,
I can see. UCut. Okay.
That's just a simple app for editing. So that's what I use. It's not one of these high class Premiere or Final Cut.
No. I don't use anything. I don't use anything too flash either. Just
does the job. It really does the job. It gets the videos on YouTube pretty quick. You know.
Yeah.
Oh, hello,
Phil.
iPad
editor as well. Wow.
Who was that?
Phil edits on his iPad as well. So
yeah. I mean, you don't have to be professional editors to actually do this. You know.
Yeah.
That's the good part. A bit about it. I mean, I know Mark. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but you do a lot of things on stream, which is really quite, you know, not difficult at all. Because it's just there. You can just hop on and do a stream or Premiere, and then you can get it out. I'm not polished by any means whatsoever, unless I'm doing a promo. I was doing a promo for this interview, right? I love doing that because it gives me creativeness. You know, I can put on a silly voice or do it.
Yeah. You can sell it.
So yeah, I mean, that stuff I can do, but do well now. I mean, I spent 2 weeks at home when I was doing this YouTube channel, right? I didn't go out at all. And I was going, what the fuck am I doing? Excuse the language, right?
That's
I want to get out.
quite all right. Your show.
I was getting angry. I mean, angry at editing. So, do you have when you first started? And it's a good segue to a question. When you first started editing your YouTube, how was your editing skills? And did you get
Well,
angry? Did you just
I,
go with the
I'm
flow?
I'm actually embarrassed to say that I studied visual media production at university. So my editing, my production should be so much better. But that was a lot like, I finished uni in 2004. I started doing this in 2020. So there's a 16-year period there of not even thinking about video production. So I mean, I can't even remember the first editing program I used. I mean, I kind of knew how your audio tracks and visual tracks worked and doing cuts and stuff like that. It was actually fun for me. Like the editing process was kind of fun because you're using your brain in a different way. I don't do anything, professionally. I don't do anything like what it takes to edit a video. So I just kind of had fun with it. You know what I mean? Just no music, no transitions, no just cut to cut to cut to cut. But it's just then I try and I try and be doing different things as I go on. You don't want it to always look the same, so I try to introduce different elements to it. And
well, it was fun. It was fun. It was fun now. It's fun now doing it.
yeah,
But in the first instance, it wasn't.
yeah, true.
It's basically when you first learn something.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can be fun learning that, but other times it's if your brain's not connected that way and you haven't done it for some time, it can get frustrating. I mean, that was my story. It was. I'm not good. I'm like Dr. Grant from Jurassic Park, who if he touches a computer screen, it'll just holy shit.
I've definitely had frustrating moments. Like I remember, like the first time I wanted to put a commercial in like an old TV screen, which I think it might be what Luke is referring to there of a technique. The first time I had a commercial and I wanted to put it in a little TV graphic thing, I obsessed over it. I was looking at videos of tutorials to how to do it, and all the tutorials that showed step by step how to do it were in editing programs that were different to mine. So then I had to work out, well, how do I do that here? And it was super frustrating. And I was like, and then you get to the point where I'm like, I can't put this video out unless I work this out. But then comes the satisfaction of working out how to do it, and then the next time you do it quicker, and then you want to try and put a different thing on it. So.
You're exactly right, because I do my editing very quickly now. Right?
Yeah.
It doesn't take half the time.
But I think like the more frustrating it is to try and like crack a piece of the puzzle, the more satisfying it is if you can eventually stay patient enough to do it. And and it brings you that satisfaction. So
I mean, I started, I'm probably talking about myself, but hey, I started this my YouTube channel last year, of course, right? Maybe practically in the middle of last year. And why I started is because that I finished my my job in cleaning. I said, look, I'm giving it up, right? But I couldn't come home or couldn't stay home and sleep all day. So the catalyst is, well, Pete, it's either going to actually, which I haven't done, look for a new job, which initially I probably will have to, but not in cleaning. But at the moment, get up, right, and do something, right, and not necessarily in that order, because I was actually thinking about doing my YouTube channel, right, forming it in here first. How did you? Another good segue to a question. Did you plan your YouTube channel? How to do it?
I mean, I just want to I will answer that, but I just want to say Luke and Phil, like anything that I do in my videos, like I didn't come up with it. I stole it from someone else. So, that I suppose that's the nature of it. Like it's, I don't have ownership of anything that I do. If it looks good, chances are it didn't come from up here. It came from something else I saw. So,
good question, guys.
Yeah.
Good question. Thank you so much.
But
Yeah.
I mean, what happened was, like when I first started collecting toys, like I had no knowledge. I bought this big lot of Hasbro's with WWF figures, ashamedly, with the idea of reselling them, because I thought, hang on, I can get like a lot of 40 figures for like $200 or $300 off eBay, and I know these things go for like $40 a piece. So, anyways, that was the original intent. Once they were in my hand and I cleaned them up, and it was time to list them on eBay, I just realized I couldn't do it because these things were too cool. They meant too much to me back in the day, and that was the start of my collection. But I knew nothing about them. I didn't, I couldn't remember which came out in which wave, and I couldn't work out whether does this belt accessory go with this person, or so I just started looking at YouTube videos of wave by wave reviews of vintage figures and getting my knowledge up that way. And I came across a couple of channels that just that became must see TV for me. A guy named Jason Nupp has somewhat of a wrestling focused 80s channel called the New 80s Revolution, and again that just became like my nightly TV. And once YouTube played a bigger role in my life in terms of consuming it, it took the place of television for me. You know what I mean? The more YouTube videos I was watching about toys, the more immersed in collecting that I was getting, the more that just became what I would watch after work to unwind. And when you see a lot of those big toy channels, like you see the Pixel Dance and things like this, I just thought, man, that I've got no chance of doing this. This is so far removed from me. But when I see kind of a little bit more impromptu and a few more ums and ahs in YouTube videos, and something that's a little bit more accessible to me, then I started to think, you know what? Like maybe I could do something. Maybe I could do something like this. So, but I sat on the idea for ages, Pete, because just the idea of talking to a camera felt like it's obviously something as that we all have to kind of get past. I wish that setting up my phone and recording a video felt like talking to you now. You know what I mean? There's something about that live format that just makes it easy to be very much yourself and in the moment, as opposed to like me sitting here and saying, and the next thing I'm going to show, you know what I mean? Like, so we kind of got past that, but what happened was, Pete, like I thought about it, but I thought, you know what, I don't think I can, but what happened was the pandemic. March 2020, I was stuck at home and I couldn't go to toy fairs, and
sorry, that's a hilarious comment.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Phil, I had to chuckle about that. Go on, Scott. Sorry.
No, that's fine, mate. But yeah, YouTube is. Hey, Phil, it's not just Japanese TV, mate. Australian TV is not much to, bang on about. Like it's just all reality TV. Hey, with that said, the Australian Open's on now. I'm really enjoying that. But sport aside, I don't really plant myself in front of the TV at a certain time to watch anything else.
I have to, in some cases, because if I'm reviewing a series, a series like which I'm doing tomorrow, a review on The Last of Us.
But you'd just be streaming that at a convenient time, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I usually do. Yeah, so
I'm talking about this show comes on at this time.
Okay, right.
On this chat, I'll watch films, I'll stream movies and stuff like that. But aside from streaming movies or TV series that I really want to watch, or watching sport, it's all YouTube.
I mean, many YouTubers are like that, isn't it? It takes, like, I'm going to elaborate on your answer there. It takes center stage, isn't it? YouTube does take center stage.
It does.
Of YouTubers, doesn't it? I mean,
yeah, for sure. And the more you, and you interact with other YouTubers, and gradually I started thinking, well, maybe I can do it, but you need that catalyst, and the catalyst for me was all the toy fairs, in Sydney getting cancelled because of the pandemic, and me being stuck at home for a chunk of 2020. And not only do you not have toy fairs to go to, but you're kind of stuck at home and you got this extra time. So, and that was kind of the thing that got me across the line. I had thought about it for a while prior to that. But it was really, I think, like a lot of us, like I know Ryan started his channel around about the same time, likewise with Matt and Andrew. So I think I wouldn't be surprised if like quite a few of us are making these videos that maybe wouldn't have if not for us being locked down.
Well, I mean, I made a show with a friend of mine, Michael Young, who's now working somewhere else, but it was a show that no one really watched because it had one of these stupid names that I gave it, which was like a radio network name, right? And it was all in a bunch of car mechanic shows, and then so that was kind of before the pandemic, but just on the verge of the pandemic. Now, but it did frustrate me somewhat. And why it frustrated me is that I was centering myself. I know we've discussed this before, probably in the interview. Why it frustrated me is because I was solely entrenched in my head about how many subscribers I had and how many views I was getting. Now, I do actually appreciate all these guys in chat and use yourself, sir, to actually say that, and I'm getting back to this point that we've discussed, it's really not about subscribers or the views. It's just about having fun with it.
Yeah.
I mean, I took a bit of advice, Mark, Shabby Geek, going, don't worry about it. Just have fun with it. So, I mean, that's why I like and love this community, is because each other gives support to each other.
So, for sure. I mean, like it's easy to like start checking, your analytics and like and constantly check and it can be frustrating for sure. Like if you make a video that you're really happy with and maybe it doesn't do as well, but I just think the more I try to remove myself from that and really just make videos that I find fun, even if I know that they might not do as well, then that's probably the best way to do it. And again, like I would rather have like 10 people, like a little community that really enjoy and engage than having like a big audience where maybe you don't feel like your mates kind of thing. You know what I mean? So I kind of like the direction we all go with it. I think it's fun. It's good.
With my channel, it's about even with what you're collecting and Matt, right? The movies or TV shows that we watched over the yesteryear and today and now, toys somewhat connect everything. Would you say that's true or not?
What do you mean?
Like, I mean, you watched the Turtles when you were younger, and you collect turtle toys, right?
Yeah.
Teenage Turtle toys. I mean, it's like The Last of Us is now a TV show, right? But it's been a game before, and they've got NECA has got Ellie and Joel 2-pack. Right?
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. It all connects.
Yeah,
right?
For sure. Well, and like, but the era that kind of our generation grew up in, like that 80s, 90s period, where when something was like, there were so many things that touched every part of popular culture. Like if you had a hit movie, it had to have an action figure line, and it had to have a Nintendo or a Sega Master System game, and it had to have a set of trading cards. And everywhere you looked within the pop culture space, it had, and whatever songs were in that movie, then the music videos were playing on with. So you had these like pop cultural phenomenons that just touched everything, and Turtles was very much like that, and the wrestling was very much like that, and movies like Jurassic Park and they didn't just stop at the movie. Like when the movie stopped rolling, that didn't stop. They had everything else. They had lunch boxes and merchandise and and I just love that. And it makes me happy that series nowadays are taking that same approach. A video game to a TV series to NECA figures and so on, because that was so cool. Like back in the day for us,
There you go, Scott.
Oh man, what would have it been? I mean, it depends what's big. Phil, like I watch Pixel Dan, but again, like my one that I really connected with first was like a channel called the New 80s Revolution. That's very much 80s, but not just toys, like 80s TV shows, 80s films, and just all the little things that were cool about the 80s, all the fast food stuff, all the cereals and so on and so forth. And when we're talking like a channel with 3,000 subs, I mean, to me, that's like, a big channel because it's substantially bigger than me. But if we're talking big, it's got to be like, it's got to be Pixel Dan and who else? Toy Galaxy. I love the docos they do on Toy Galaxy.
Dan Larson.
Yeah, Dan Larson. Yeah, well, it's not Toy Galaxy anymore, which someone told me, but I don't.
It's Galaxy 2, I think. No,
I thought that was his second channel.
No, it's not Toy Galaxy anymore. It's something else. You're right.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. But Matt from Keep On Collecting was saying it used to be called Toy Galaxy. But and just going back to your question before, Pete, about research and stuff like that, I think it's so cool to see, when Toy Galaxy has like an 15, 18, 20-minute documentary on the story behind obscure stuff. Like one of my toy lines that I was really into as a kid was Ring Raiders. And few people remember them, and even fewer people had them or were like really into them as a kid. I was really into them. They were made by Matchbox, and they're basically little die cast. No, are they die cast or plastic? They're tiny. They're little planes that are like go on a ring on your finger, so you can have a whole squadron on your hand and fly around. And Andrew, no, I can't get them out because they're tiny. Like I don't want to take the time to put them all on my fingers and stuff. But anyway, but again, like there's very few videos on YouTube about Ring Raiders. Like I've done a Ring Raiders video when I picked up some cool like sealed stuff that I had as a kid, and I found it at a cash converters here. But again, like, you go on Toy Galaxy and they've got like a proper 20-minute documentary about the whole history, the whole story behind Ring Raiders. So Toy Galaxy was another one that I was really into. Ring Raider Flex. All right, let me do a quick Ring Raider Flex.
That's it. Secret Galaxy now, I think. Thanks, Luke.
They've gone in. Secret Galaxy. They've gone. Andrew, my Ring Raiders are knocked out all off the cabinet, but I'll fix them later. But yeah, so I don't know if you can see that, Pete. But this
I don't know how to make it. I don't know how to make it big, so it doesn't.
This is called. That's all right. That's right. This is called the Battle Blaster, and I had this as a kid. I had this exact toy as a kid. This one's sealed, and the box is in beautiful condition. I got it from a cash converter, like a pawn store, not PORN, PAWN.
A pawn store?
Yeah, when you need quick cash and you steal your mum's jewelry. Yeah,
PAWN.
Correct. You dig through your mum's jewelry drawer and you duck off to the pawn store and get some money for a carton of beer. But so someone has taken their Ring Raiders and pawned it off for some quick cash, and now I've got it. So again, like it's super obscure. It's really random. So you got this blaster sound effects box that you strap to your wrist, and you got all the little planes that are on your fingers, and again, like I'm like, and then I jump on YouTube and I'm like, I vaguely remember Ring Raiders from 1990 that were like my life in 1990. And then I jump on YouTube and I watch videos about the history of it. Like that's where this whole YouTube thing, it's not just about obviously the community, the connections that we make are awesome, but it's also just all the knowledge that's out there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I love that. Because I watch a lot of toy channels as well, like Fush.
Yeah.
Robo and Shardamus Prime. Just reviewers and stuff like that. But a good one I like is retro blasting.
Yep,
I
retro
mean,
blasting, and Ed's Retro Geek Out, not another retro channel. I was into those guys as well. Like I still am, but I was definitely watching those guys before I started making videos. So
Analog Toys is great. I mean, they know their
Analog
stuff.
Toys.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know, and you guys know your stuff as well. I mean, that's I learn every day.
Oh,
Right,
I appreciate that.
watching you guys, because I don't know about these retro toys. I'm from a 70s, 80s genre growing up, you know, and I didn't collect retro figures like Turtles or Motu.
Yeah.
Or
Well, what were your toy lines as a kid?
I collected 3 3/4.
Okay.
But I collected them loose. Because I was a kid, so I played them on the
Of
grass.
course you did. You busted them off the card and tossed away the packaging without a thought, like we all did.
I was a mega Matchbox themed. You know, I had that carry case of Matchbox.
Yeah.
You know, I used to collect awesome cars and vans and stuff like that. Just love dinkies. I love toys. You know.
Yeah.
I went. This is a funny story, which will be repeated in a interview coming up next month with Stu on Universal Toy Collectors. I'm one of his guests this month. Anyway,
oh, cool.
I just plugged that. You won't be watching.
That's all right.
But I was. My father worked at the airport in New Zealand, Nelson, right? And he was a unloader and loader of planes. So he got 10 days in LA for the family. So I was 7 years old at that time. So it was like Christmas and all over, going to LA,
Yeah, I bet.
Disneyland, Knoxbury Farm, Universal Studios. We all went there, Wax Museum, stuff like that, and saw Superman up close doing his chest out. Got my picture taken with Mickey, which is quite cool. But we all went into this big, huge toy store. It was called Toy City, I think. Right? It was massive. I mean, toy aisles. You couldn't see down the aisle because it was just so massive. It was like me as a little hobbit.
It wasn't Kiddie City, was it?
No, it was Toy City in
Okay.
LA, right? In LA.
Okay.
So this was in the 1980s. Right?
Yeah.
So I was 7 years old. So it's probably not there anymore. But it had wall-to-wall toys, Star Wars toys, everything, anything you can imagine. It was there. I mean, I still feel really so embarrassed doing this story. I don't know. But my mum says that, Pete, you can actually pick out anything you want, right? Okay, and my mum said that, Pete, there's a box you can. It's what I didn't know because I was thinking ahead probably then, right, as a kid, and she says that, well, why can't you pick the Darth Vader, Pete, with all the action Star Wars figures, right? I mean, I didn't know from a bar of soap they could have been the retro figures, the original retro figures. I don't know. Guess what I did?
What'd you go for?
Can I have that carded R2-D2? that's all I got. Oh my God.
You didn't set your goals too high then.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what it was. Maybe I just wanted too much. And the over immense power that
it would have been choice overload.
And I'm embarrassed to saying that to now because people in the chat are going, "You dick!" Why didn't you get the bloody thing?
But, as a kid, you want what you want. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean it was heaven. As a 7-year-old kid in LA at that time, as a Kiwi kid in LA at the time, with your folks in this big, huge toy store, right? So, but again, I wasn't collecting retro stuff that you collected. I was collecting not this, but smaller.
I can't see, Pete. What is that?
It's there, Mix Mayfield.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm one of these collectors. I mean, sorry to say this, but I go with the crowd, which is
Yeah.
awful. But I collect what I like. I mean,
Yeah, well, that's the only way to do it, mate. I mean, what you like
yeah,
is not going to be what everyone else likes. I mean, you got to
no,
collect what you like, you know.
I love collecting. Um, I've got Nathan Drake down the game Nathan Drake action figure,
Yeah.
right? Um, and I was so excited. I was like jumping up and down like a school child, right, for that
Yeah.
figure. I loved it.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. Still love it. Things that really excite me.
Sure.
But it does. The price gets to me because at the moment I'm not working, so I have to be very selective in what I buy.
Yeah, you can't have it all. I mean, and that's the thing. Like, because I do kind of the lines that I collect, I kind of want everything within that line, and but the fact that they're not making them anymore means like there's some end post to it. Whereas if I collect modern stuff that they have waves coming out every year, how would I keep up with that? You know what I mean? That would be the challenge for me.
Yeah, I did have them out, Andrew, but I had to put them back because shelves are going up when I get them, and they will be on display, but they're just not at the moment. So, and that will be wall to wall if I can get it right, displayed with figures that I have.
Oh,
So
sweet.
that they'll be in time. They'll be in time.
Andrew wants to see a toy. What you got? Anything else close to hand? He wants you to flex.
I just read this and I'll get something. I used to get jealous that the kids went to Aussie for school holidays and brought back stuff we couldn't see in New Zealand. Exactly right. I still get frustrated with that, Phil.
Yeah.
And I'm 51. Here we go. Everything's falling down. But here's what I'm saying. Right? So, I guess this was probably one of my grails, actually.
Oh, nice.
I like
So
so I just love this figure because I love the game, So
yeah.
The movie's not that good, but we won't go there.
Pete, please don't think less of me. But what line is that figure from?
It's NECA. It's a NECA figure. So
Yeah, but from what game?
Oh, Uncharted. It's the Uncharted.
The film was no good.
I only had about 2 good moments. I did a review on it on my channel. It wasn't that much of a good review, but I had 2 good
didn't
moments.
live up to the game for you.
No, not really. It had 2 good moments, and the 2 good moments that I enjoyed was that Nolan North, who actually did the mocap suit for Nathan Drake, who were just shown for the game, he was in it. He cameoed. It was a pretty good cameo. And the music, they finally did the Nathan Drake music of the game. That was quite good. But that was it.
Fair enough.
But I do actually collect. I just actually picked this up too. I'll flex again.
Let's do it.
I did pick that up as well. So,
yeah, nice.
Can you see that?
Do you keep stuff carded? Do you open it all up? How do you approach that?
I only keep this carded.
Okay.
That's the only thing I keep carded is this TVC. Right?
Okay.
And then I open up the rest. Why I keep TVC carded is because I just want to keep them carded because I like them in the bubbles.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
And they've gotten better over the years, TVC. So
yeah,
I can probably thank Obi-Wan Kenobi. Obi-Wan Kenobi. I love that channel. I love Nick's channel and Boss Bounty's channel because it's just brilliant.
Yeah. But yeah, Phil, I agree 100%, mate. Like when you start collecting a vintage line, at least you know how much there is to it. Like you know what you're getting yourself into. Whereas if I started collecting a modern line that's still coming out, like I don't know what I'm committing to here. You know what I mean? Especially because I want to have everything within a line. So I suppose if it's modern stuff that's coming out every year, you just have to pick and choose the ones that you like. But I wouldn't know how to do that.
Okay. Well, it's getting up to 2 hours, nearly 2 hours, 5 minutes in to 2 hours. So let's wrap it up here, shall we?
No worries at all, mate. Thanks for having me.
But we'll just give it a little bit of an outro. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to wrap it up here tonight with the lovely Scott Crusher, and he comes from New South Wales in Australia. My first guest for 2023, and it's good to call you friend, and thank you for joining me, and just wait. I swear I'm gonna get talk show music music to do this, because thing is, Stu does interviews as well on Universal Toy Collector. All right.
Yeah.
So I want to do it differently than him. So let's all thank, a round of applause in the chat, please. I won't stop until everybody's clapped their hands. Okay, and here we go. Oh, sorry.
We got laughter.
Wrong one. So yes, again, it's been fun and it's been educational to actually know you, and you've got a wonderful channel, and everybody in the chat knows you and has subscribed to your channel. Give this a thumbs up, everybody, before you go. Please like and subscribe to my channel. Right. And just look forward to seeing Scott Crusher, even with the lads at KOC, and just invite you to actually, if you don't know, and we'll pass it on to your friends, go and subscribe to Scott Crusher. He's a wonderful guy, and I can blabber on until it turns 2 hours. So I'm going to do that. But it's been fun. It's been a pleasure, and I hope everybody's had fun. Catch it on the replay. Anyway, I'll see you in the green room.
Yep, Scott. Sounds good. Thanks again for having me, mate. I appreciate it. Thanks, everybody.
Hang on. I've got to find a new goodbye catchphrase, because I think Stu stole mine. Don't repeat that if he said, because he'll have my guts for gutters. But I say stay safe, take care, everybody. But I will say this: thank you. That's terrible. I'll work on it. So it's good night from me. And it's good night from him. No, okay, that's stealing as well. So I can't have it. So I'll sort that out. Anyway, thank you and God bless.